Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I am preparing here now to do a full moon reading, tarot oracle reading in the sign of Sagittarius, happening on the 11th of June 2025. The exact time depends on where you live in the world. So I'll just concentrate on the 11th of June, which is today, where I sit. And I'm just going to shuffle here while I am bringing forth what I think is on the table here. We'll see how specific the cards get about this. But when we talk about Sagittarius, it's the last fire sign in the circle, zodiac circle. Sagittarius is associated with Jupiter. So it's big, or it has a big impact. Jupiter has a big impact on us here on Earth. If we just concentrate on how Jupiter influences Earth. Jupiter is associated with the 10th house of work. So what kind of work are you doing? Are you working? Are you stopping to work? Like ordinary paid job? What about work that is not paid? Is that still work? What is work actually? What does it mean, work? Is a Buddhist monk who sits and meditates in the temple most days, is that work? When a mother is nurturing her child, is that work? Or should we just concentrate on the word deeds, perhaps, actions, whether they are paid or not? I don't know. I get something like that. So again, Sagittarius, the last fire sign, we can talk about something grand. You know, the completion of some kind of, let's say it has to do with pension, right? Or you're considering to leave the workforce. Or, again, it's a general reading, so please just take how it resonates, right? But a full moon suggests that something has come to a completion. There is a potential of completing some kind of cycle. As I said, maybe you are leaving the workforce. You are starting a life of retirement. It doesn't mean that you're not doing anything anymore, right? You still have deeds, you still have things to do. Maybe your work or your actions in life now have a different tune or a different role. As I said, maybe they are not paid. You could be a grandparent, right? Taking care of your grandchildren. Is that not work? Or is that not what is work for you? Whether it's paid or not, it depends on you, right? It depends on whether you believe that it is valuable work. Tending to your garden, is that work? Well, if you get, let's say, vegetables from your garden, tomatoes, or lettuce or carrots, is that not work then? Even though nobody pays you to do the work and nobody is paying you anything for your groceries or for your products or your the vegetables that you may have grown in the garden. You can eat them, of course, and save money, perhaps, but is it work? Like, what is that supposed to mean? I also think that Jupiter is associated with abundance, like overwhelm of some kind of perhaps money. So if you work hard, if you work long, you have the potential of earning a lot of money, as a big saving. You have luxury perhaps, or when you have Jupiter present, it's like the potential for a new great business idea, right? A full moon indicates that it has come to fruition. Now you see the path forward, or now you have found the last piece of money to open your business, or something has come to a completion, potential completion. That is what the full moon indicates, right? That there's a potential to finalize the last things, and then you can launch this new website, or you can quit your job, perhaps. I don't know. It depends on your situation. Maybe where Jupiter is or Sagittarius is in your chart. We can say that Jupiter when we do work, paid work, I guess that there is a potential to show sides of you where you could be brilliant, right? Like where you can really touch the world, right? If you are let's say you are you train horses. You have maybe you grew up on a farm, and horses were your everyday. It was normal, right? It was everyday life for you, and you have gotten really great at communicating with horses. Maybe you are brilliant at training them in some way. So Jupiter highlights, I feel like, some kind of brilliancy in us. Let's say you are a baker. You make the most beautiful and tasty pastries, right? Or a cook, or you are an engineer, or you are a teacher, or a care or keeper person, right? That you tend to others. Maybe that's where you have brilliance, right? I think that Jupiter wants to inspire us to see that brilliance in some way in us. Even if you are disabled, you can still be brilliant at something. Maybe you are excellent at telling stories, right? Or writing stories. It's like, even if you are retired, you can still be a mentor for someone younger, right? You could still be someone who inspires new people to do what you did once and mastered, perhaps, and now you become a mentor. Even though you don't have the same strength anymore, or you're not in the workforce, you could still be adding value, you could say, in some way. So this full moon in Sagittarius, I feel like potentially can highlight or maybe bring forth, even to your own knowledge, maybe this has been hidden or it has been, put aside, because again, it could be a hobby that you had or you like, something you liked to do when you were a child. And because now you are working less perhaps, or leaving the workforce, you have time to do this again. Something that brings you joy, right? Something where you are special in some way. I think everybody has something to add. Everybody has value also in some way. Maybe not, again, it's not necessarily what you do. So I have this picture in my mind right now, so I'm trying to bring forth what I see or what I mean, right? Let's say that you are a very disabled person. Actually, you can't move much of your body, right? You mostly lay. Maybe you don't even have a language. Maybe you are primarily communicating through sounds or eye movements. Let's say that, right? In what way can such person be of value? Like if we look from a work perspective, of course they can have value, but do you get my point? Like from a work perspective, if you can't do anything with your body, in what way can you add value? Well, you can add value to someone else who tends to you, right? Like, for instance, if there were no ill people, there would be no doctors. Like for a surgeon to be a brilliant surgeon, they need patients. If there are no patients, everybody is lovey-dovey, everybody is healthy, fine, always. Then there would be a lot of people also in the caretaking facilities that would be out of a job. They would not be able to show where they have brilliance. And maybe a smile from such patient, or the trust in their eyes, maybe that is enough, right? Maybe that is enough for the caretaker. It adds value in that the caretaker realizes that I'm doing a good job, right? And of course, if you are fully out there with fit and healthy, and you're building, and you are cleaning, and you are cooking, and you are doing everything, moving yourself around and dealing with a lot of things, many plates, things like that. Then you're handling a lot of information, you're handling a lot of actions, and hopefully you're bringing forth some kind of brilliance that you can handle all this information, right? Or you can do this stuff on the computer or whatever you're doing. You're fixing technical things or something, but you will show the world in what way you have brilliance. Jupiter tends to act as a magnifying glass, so it makes things bigger, right? It's like it can bring, it can make, let's say you, as a child, you had a little hobby. If we take the horse example, you liked horses, you grew up on a farm, you liked the horses. It started out to be just conditions you grew up in, but it actually may end up becoming a work field where you have brilliance, right? A full a moon energy. Again, moon can be something hidden, right? Something not quite fulfilled, not... maybe you're realizing a waste potential even. Like, let's say you have duties, and those duties, they are preventing you from like pursuing some kind of job direction where you could be brilliant, right? When we're dealing with moon energy, that typically is something that potentially is a roadblock, or why, if this is a place or something you are very good at, why haven't you pursued it, right? And then you have all these explanations why, reasons why. I don't have the right education, I don't have the money, but then I have to move state, right? Or what about my kids then? And my husband or my wife, right? Then we come with the explanations why we are not doing this. Or why we are not prioritizing our own set of brilliance, right? Maybe if you are married, then your spouse is doing that, but you are not, right? Because one has to tend to the home, or one has to tend to the children, or one has to not be too career oriented, right? I don't know, the situation for you will be different, right? It's a general reading, but the full moon could suggest that there could be like some finalizing, something to be finalized that you could look upon during the next, especially 3 days, or even up to 14 days, where the moon shifts again. But and I feel like this full moon is coming up in a time where Jupiter is in Cancer, right? So Jupiter has just moved into the sign of Cancer and will stay there for around a year. So there is again a magnifying glass on Cancer is associated with the 4th house, the home, and the motherly qualities, motherly, let's say, chores, right? Actions. Personally, I believe that many of the household, you could say, chores, the things that needs to be done in the home is very undervalued. There is a lot of work that is handled by housewives, which they are not paid for. It's just something that is expected of them to do. I believe the time we are moving into right now is perhaps going to have a look at that. Cancer is also, you could say, it's intuitive, it's watery, it's love, it's a bit rose-colored, naivety, right? There's something about, I call it the first water. I'm a Cancerian sun, so I know this energy very well. It is romantic and rose-colored and a bit naive and young and maybe a bit shy and very intuitive and very sensitive and sometimes over-emotional, and I know this energy very well. So when Jupiter comes in and highlights Cancer, like the Cancerian energy, it could be a new crush. You could fall in love with someone, right? That's Jupiter comes in with like, woo, a boost, like a new wave of something. But then for this full moon, which is right now, this full moon right now, there could be something about maybe a sense of a wasted potential because of some kind of responsibilities, perhaps. And now it's done. Like now it's like, I'm fed up with something, I want to pursue this, and I have been invested in this for so long, and now I'm kind of done with it, right? I feel like I have done what I should, or I have paid, like I've played this role. I've done what was necessary, and I'm ready now to pursue something else. There could be a link with something motherly or home-ish. If you have been a stay-at-home mom, you know, and you've raised 3 children, and this is what you've done, and now you may feel that I'm kind of done with that. They are old now. My children are grown, right? So what now? Or this is all I know, or I don't know how to shift into a new role or a new path. There could be something that comes to an end. Full moons indicate completions. The cycle has come to an end. Something is overdue. Because Jupiter has to do with work, I would say perhaps education. Education could be finalized, you know. You finish college, you finish something that potentially has an effect on job qualifications, right? Jupiter has this, and something that can bring forth a brilliance, right? But moon energy is a bit tricky. Moon is also Cancerian, secretive, right? It's it's not necessary, it's never out in the open. Like moon energy is not really that informative. It's secretive, a bit shadowy, hidden. Cancerians walk the earth with a lot of they have a big internal world that others are not necessarily seeing, right? Because they are sensing, like their senses are highly tuned to everything around them. Me included, very tuned to everything. I pick up on a lot of things that people don't know that I pick up on, right? It's everything. It's traffic, it's nature, it's people around me, right? It's many things, information that just is coming in some way. Intuitive nudges and so on. But that is not visible necessarily to all others, right? It goes on internally. So this could also indicate maybe something internally going on in you, something you've realized, but maybe you haven't shared it, you haven't told anyone, right? Okay, let's have a look. The center card, Star Seer. So interesting. Like you see this giant person here, right? And then if we look a bit closer, she holds this hand, and someone is trying to climb a ladder towards some kind of star here. When I see this star, I always feel like it's some kind of enlightenment, some kind of knowledge, some kind of truth, some kind of clarity. We could say climbing ladder is sometimes also like associated with hierarchy, right? That you're trying to climb the ladder of hierarchy in your business or get from one place to a better one, right? Usually. And then it's like someone is watching this process and kind of just holding the ladder, right? But you have to climb it yourself here, right? It's a bit like, now I see it a bit like that this is a big mother, right? Cancerian and a mother. And she's holding the ladder. She's holding the ladder here, right? But you have to climb it, right? There's something about the potentially something that you may realize that I see that the ladder is there, right? I see that the potential is there, but I am the one who needs to climb it. She can hold the ladder. It's a bit like when a child is learning to walk, right? She cannot take the steps for you. Like for the baby, right? The baby has to learn to take the steps themselves. They have to learn how to climb stairs. They have to learn how to run themselves. She can hold their hand, but she can't like take their feet. Well, she could, but it is the child or the person here, the person that needs to make the steps forward, right? Someone is making an attempt. She's watching here that someone is making an attempt, right? Of climbing. We could even say that because this is something very big, like a I just talked about Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. It could be the feeling that someone is watching, right? That you are trying to do something, perhaps. Someone is not fixing it for you, but also not ruining it for you, right? They're watching. There's a lot of purple and blue here. It's very intuitive, very crown chakra, third eye. See the eye here as well. Third eye chakra. It's intuitive. It's claircognizant, clairvoyant, intuitive, sensing. A sensing that something is assisting, perhaps, or that something is there. Like Jupiter as a giant protector of Earth. The gravity of Jupiter, you could say, shields Earth from like impact from asteroids and meteors. The gravity of Jupiter is so big that it usually makes these cosmic stones come closer to Jupiter, right? It takes the hit, you could say. If there is a hit, Jupiter takes many, many more of them, and in that way is shielding the smaller planets. It could be the feeling that someone could be assisting you while you're climbing some kind of ladder here. That something is there, star seer, seeing something, clairvoyance. Quiet, not speaking, no words. It's a feeling. This is a feeling. A feeling that something is there. Motherly. A mother. Like this is not like I was wondering, I was feeling into whether we have Venusian energy here. This is not Venus. Like this is very patient. Again, motherly. Like this is more motherly. Venusian can be fun and childish and seeking, like seeking adventure and having a good time and laughing, and this is not, well, but that's not what I get here. This is a motherly. It is a we could say that if Jupiter is in Cancer at the moment, Jupiter would be like a mother. Right? It would have a motherly tune to it. Patient, quiet, watching, observing, offering something, but not everything, because you have to climb yourself, right? There's something about climbing the stairs or the steps yourself. I get organic, like all the bubbles here, it's quite organic. I see almost like it becomes a picture that moves, that it kind of swirls inside, like swirls around everything here. It feels dreamlike, like a dream world. Almost a bit hallucinatory, maybe, the background, but not her. Like she's quite steady, but in an hallucinatory world. Maybe you have some kind of vision where you have the feeling that something is there with you, very big, but quiet. It's not a pushy energy, right? It's patient. It's not pushy. It's patient. It is, again, it's a bit like, you can't make a child crawl unless it's ready to crawl. You can't make a child walk unless it's ready and it feels inspiration to want to try to stand up. You can't make a rose flower before the right terms or the right conditions are there, right? The conditions have to be right for someone to start climbing the ladder. I get something about evolution, something about, again, Jupiter can be about work. So if you are or maturing, right? A maturity can only happen when the person is getting to a point where they know they have to make these steps, right? They know they have to make this decision. They know they have to quit being the housewife and go out there and be the horse whisperer, right? Or something, you know. And she can only provide, you know, maybe some opportunities, but it's up to you to take the opportunities. It's up to you to follow this inkling. And maybe, you know, maybe say no to something. Maybe quit, as I say, quit some role you have been playing or some kind of work you have been doing. Maybe you need to quit it. So the stepping stones can be laid upon you, but you are the one who has to actually choose to go down that route, you know. 9 of Hearts. This would be equivalent to 9 of Cups, something like that. It says fulfillment, harmony, protection. 9 of Hearts is sometimes a card of self-care, self-love. But again, the stepping stones may be there. Something may have been put into action, but you're still the one who has to do it. Like you're still the one who has to attend to this trunk, maybe, body perhaps. Family, trunk can be family, body, family, home, maybe, children. You're the one, maybe you're quitting your job to become a stay-at-home mom because the trunk needs it, right? The family needs it, the children need it. Again, look at how the, I don't know, can you see it? But how the drawing is kind of so organic. It's very, maybe there's something organic life. That life is more organic. It floats easier, or it's more, it moves, it's alive. It's alive where when not it's static, more frozen. There's something about a potential ladder that can be climbed or steps to be made that can make life more organic, I think, more alive. Maybe you would feel more alive if you feel like you're stuck in some kind of role that you have been doing for a lot of years. But the potential for a more organic life, again, I get a retirement, right? Or change of plans in some way, something that can, it's just more, it's like if you have it's like a dance partner, right? Where when you dance, both of you want to lead, right? So it never really becomes this flowing organic dance, right? But when you find the right dance partner, it just moves, so it looks so easily, right? It looks so easy and looks so coordinated and looks so aligned in some way. But if you have two left feet, or it won't flow like that, right? It's not flowing. It's not organic. Yeah, I get organic. Again, here, fulfillment, harmony, protection. It says 9 of Hearts. A lot of heart energy. Something that comes to fruition, something harmonic, with harmony. Again, I get this organic harmony feeling. The organic, harmonious dance in some way. Now I get something like heart. What is that called? Like heartbeats, right? But if your heart make double beats, tuk tuk, then it can feel uncomfortable. But this would be the feeling that now the heart has found its rhythm, right? The perfect harmonious rhythm in some way. Something that it flows organic, the blood flow is more organic or more healthy, or something like that. So something you potentially could be doing would give a more vibrant kind of life. It would be more alive, more organic, more fulfilled, more harmonious. Maybe something that has to do with the body. You have to move the body or dance, or There's something about healing your body, self-nurture, self-care can relieve or create some kind of harmony here. Something way more organic. It's which it has not been, I guess. I get that, right? It has not been like that. It has not felt like that. It has felt stressful, perhaps. It has felt tough or hard. And these steps here potentially can relieve or again, it's something like when you close the door to something, you can open the door to something else and invite something in. Right? When you close the door, it's like you're saying, no, I don't want you in anymore, right? I want you out. So now I open this door and now I get this in my life. So it's about inviting or doing something that invites something in that is more, I feel like organic, could be organic diet maybe. Maybe a better diet. There is something about like growing your own vegetable in the garden. There's something about a tiny layer that is on vegetables that normally gets washed off. So when vegetables is in, well, like normal plastic packing or something, you buy them in the grocery, they have already been like washed a little bit, or they have been, something has maybe been sprayed over them. But when you grow your own in the garden, organic vegetables, you can, there is a kind of layer on fruit and vegetables that if you preserve this, it has a health benefit. But usually it gets washed off, right? We wash it off because we don't want our vegetables to be dirty, or we don't know who has handled it, right? So usually we wash them to make sure that there are no bad bacteria on them. But there could be something about I get it. It's like it's it's way more organic, and it just flows easier in some way. I feel like life, the feeling of joy and love, the hearts here. And again, trunk for me is usually body. It could be about family. The roots of a tree can be like family tree, the roots where we come from. It could also be where this tree is. So where do you put down your roots, right? What environment? What do you surround yourself with? What doors do you close? What doors do you open? Yeah, look at this 5 of Cups here. But look at him. 5 of Cups is usually grieving. This is a broken heart. You've lost someone. He's on his knees, like he is totally beaten, totally broken. all the cups here are spilled. Everything is spilled. Everything. There's nothing left here. But it was reversed here, right? This tells me that, like, when it is reversed, it potentially can be that you have overcome some kind of heartbreak, something that really, really, like, shook you up. It's interesting with the hearts here, right? A 9 of hearts, 5 of hearts, that I think Jupiter in Cancer has an effect on this full moon as well. Like, there's maybe a mother watching over you while you are trying to climb your way out of a dark grieving period, perhaps, or depression, which this could indicate, right? That if you have been in this feeling, like, this is devastating, it's terrible, it's a broken heart, it's a big loss. But then it's like, when this is reversed, I feel like we can talk about that you're on your way out of this feeling, right? That you are no longer in such turmoil, in such darkness, in such pain. It could indicate a time where you have not handled a grief. Like, it's reversed, meaning that you may have rejected a grief. You haven't looked at it. But when I see this card here with the Latter, I feel like someone has been trying to climb their way out of some kind of grief, potentially. And one of the ways of doing that is to be kind to yourself, right? And those around you, be kind to each other, care for yourself, care for what you need, something that is way more organic. Again, when you are grieving, it's like you're frozen. When you're grieving, he's on his knees, it's like you're frozen. It's like you're half dead, right? And usually things become so hard, like everyday tasks can become overwhelming. You can't think, you can't concentrate. Everything is just pain and darkness. And it can be a slow process to get out of it again. The full moon could definitely have to do with such feelings like this. Moon energy is, well, I said it could be secretive. It could be a secret grief, an unspoken grief, something you haven't shared. It could be something in you that is lost, right? Something you have, a part of you, a potential in you. As I said, maybe the feeling of like a wasted potential. And there's a grief concerning some kind of part of you that potentially has never come to pass, it has never been shown in the world. You have never gotten to a place where that was possible. And the feeling that that you're climbing this ladder, right? Trying to climb this ladder, and the only way out of this, as I said, like this, the steps out of it is for you to take, even though someone very big is watching here. And there's a lot of love and a lot of patience with this and support. The only one who can get themselves out of grief is yourself, or other ways of sadness here. Like 5 of Cups is terrible. Like this is a broken heart. Like that is, yeah, very sad and very alone. And depressing and abandoned, right? This feeling that something vital has been lost. And interesting that there's a tree in the background here, right? Someone is weeping and sitting here and crying. And here we have another tree that seems to have been cut or is here, and he sits by this tree, right? But there is one in the background here that seems to flourish with apples and everything, right? Could be the feeling that that in your family, right? There was a lot of loss, but you could have been surrounded by other families or other people where they are thriving, like they are fine, right? It's interesting, this idea about the tree, and here we actually have a trunk that lays here. Can you see that? But there's a tree here, like this, here, and all the cups are here, more or less tipped over, and he's kneeling by this tree here. It's almost like like roots, family roots, traditions, ways of conducting family life, something like that. That this is cut down. But you see that others they have fine trees, abundant with a lot of apples and a lot of leaves and everything, still growing. Everything is fine. But this one, he's kneeling by a certain tree here. Maybe a certain family member. But the others, they seem like they are all right. The point is that when someone is grieving like this, they almost become like the tree, right? You know that if you have spoken to a person who is deeply grieving someone, that they need to tend to themselves, right? When you have been going through a grieving process, it's almost like a part of you is dead and very dark, and it's like we have let something in, that we have allowed it to affect us so much. And the only way out of this is through, I want to say, or up, you could say in this case. The only way through is up. Maybe you are the one, maybe you are this one watching someone, right? watching how someone is trying to climb out of their own brokenness here. Okay, I want one more card on the Star Seer. For some reason, I get this feeling that this could be you, right? A person, a human being here. And this one is this giant Jupiter that is watching, right? But it could be the feeling that this one represents humanity per se, right? That humanity is trying to climb its ladder into evolution, and something here out in the cosmic realm is watching the progress of something here. It could be that, as I said, you are grieving, there has been a grieving about a family member. Maybe this family member is this mother here. And she is watching from another place, right? Her soul is watching. Yeah. Or something here is assisting those who are in a process of overcoming such broken heart and grief. Well, we have had a lot of this, right? The coronavirus affected all of us around the world. And many people died with this disease. And not only, of course, corona, other people have lost family members maybe to other diseases or to other circumstances. But it's just talking about something very difficult. But because the card came out reversed, I want to say, I think that you have beaten some of this. You have gotten yourself into a better place in some way. You are on the move here, I feel like. Let me get a moon card here. Let's get one more card on this one, please. Start seeing. Friendship, support, fun, unity, play. Or someone you had a beautiful time with, potentially. But it's difficult. It's difficult to, when someone is grieving, it's difficult to connect with fun and play. That is not life becomes very serious when someone is grieving here. Okay, one more card on the Star Seer, please. Gathering of blessings. Yeah, makes sense. Gathering of blessings. It's when someone sits like this, it's difficult to see that life has any kind of blessings to offer. here, in the midst of potential emptiness, it's something about being grateful for the little things. Again, we have this moon in the background, mother here, that is offering, I feel like, a sense of embrace and reminding this one to be grateful for what they do have, what is still here, and not being totally absorbed in what is lost. That there's still something, as I said, there are still trees around that are here and alive and present. So of course we can sit like this, but what about the others, right? What about them? And I feel that someone has gotten to a place where they're realizing that that there are blessings. There are still things to love. There are still things that are beautiful. There are still things that are nice, or there are still things that can be relied upon. Now I get something like, again, trunk can be body. Maybe if someone has become somewhat disabled or having body issues, there are still things to, you can still have a life, right? You can still have a life even if something potentially happened once. You can still have a life, you can still find gratitude in other things. And you do so by practicing self-love and self-care, 9 of Hearts. And there is only one who can do it. You have to climb this ladder yourself, with a very patiently helping, assisting mother here, I feel like. Again, someone is watching this little corn here, but the moon is in the background, lighting some way here for this one, right? While they are gathering maybe small blessings, but surely one step at a time, right? I get the feeling here that this moon and this one is kind of the same, right? They are lighting the way here, like small or gently lighting the way, allowing you to be reassured or to remember that there are still things to be grateful for. There are still things to enjoy. There are still things to pursue. Like she's right there in the background, right? Lighting the way gently, slowly. Like she's holding this hand here, right? That she's just holding it while there are these attempts to climb the ladder out of some kind of darkness. But I also get the feeling of, again, I don't think it can be rushed. Like it's something that a flower doesn't bloom unless it feels like blooming, right? You can't laugh if you are depressed. It's things have to open up over time. And I get a very, very patient, gentle, again, very gentle, just gentle light here. Gentle warmth that is just surrounding her, embracing her, right? In the midst of this darkness here, and trying to just light the way forward for her to just heal, I feel like. To heal. So the healing path here is hers to walk, or this person here, her, it's hers to walk. This is not gender specific, this can be a man, right? But they have to make the steps, they have to work through the feelings, through self-care and self-understanding. And I really get the feeling it cannot be rushed. Like we have this full moon now. I say it's like a cycle is complete. Maybe it is. But again, the moon never gives up on us. Next year, around the same time, we will have another full moon in Sagittarius. Again, the feeling that something potentially can heal. Sagittarius is, as I said, Jupiter energy, but Sagittarius is also known as, well, it could be known as an adventurous energy. You know, like a globetrotter. It can be philosopher, a thinker, again magnifying, thinking bigger thoughts, metacognitive ways of thinking, seeing things in a bigger picture. I said that this could be one person, but it could also be like the idea that this is mankind, right? Trying to climb the ladder of enlightenment, trying to heal themselves, trying to fix something. But it's interesting, it's like she's alone, right? It seems so dark and you know, like just this ground, like that there's no grass here, there are no flowers, there's nothing. There are no colors. It seems very colorless, very dark, and that's very the feeling of depression and being in a very dark, bad place, painful place, like you're all alone, nobody understands, nobody knows what you're going through. It's a very solitary journey. It's something you have to do on your own, right? It's something you have to do alone here. You have to make the steps through whatever you are experiencing. And along the way, realizing that you can gather blessings. Maybe someone offered you a kind smile. Maybe someone offered you a hand. Even you don't know them, right? You can still be grateful that they did so. Maybe someone came with food for you one day, right? While you were really hurting. But she feels like she's on this very, like a very lonely journey. She's very alone. But I want to say it's like I don't think so, right? She's not alone. So if this resonates with you and you feel like you are very alone right now and nobody gets you, and you've gone through like the toughest loss ever, it may feel like you're very alone. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that you are. Someone is there. Gently lighting the way up here. Again, when someone is in a grieving state, it's difficult to be brilliant, right? They are very much in pain. But again, as I said with the example of this person who is totally disabled, if someone is very much in pain, it probably could need a very good therapist, right? So someone who is in such pain can be a necessity for someone to be brilliant as a therapist, right? If everyone was in perfect mental health, always happy, always fit and good to go, we wouldn't have like the entire area called psychology and all the treatment facilities and like therapists, and it wouldn't exist because there was no need. There's no nobody is asking for it, right? And because nobody is asking for it, there's no demand for a therapist. If everyone is in perfect, super duper mental state of health and happiness, then there would be no need for a psychologist, right? and many of the healthcare facilities that deal with such issues or such problems, they wouldn't exist. So we could say, for a doctor to be a brilliant doctor, they need certain patients. Certain patients who have like really big problems. A heart surgeon can never become brilliant at his job if there are no patients with like really big heart problems. So if we become some kind of patient, it's because you could say it can allow someone else to be brilliant. I think that some lives here on earth are supposed to be the way they are because others cannot shine or be brilliant if the other is not existing. Does that make sense? I know it sounds a bit maybe morbid in some way, but it's human to go through different emotions, right? That's part of our human existence. And we can have great times and bad times. And when we have bad times, we're looking sometimes for people who can help us into a different lifestyle where we feel more like this, right? And it can be a lifestyle that has a motherly quality to it, right? Because there has to be a sense of understanding and talk and empathy and slowly and gently guidance, and someone who just holds, like someone just sometimes an embrace can be enough. They don't have to do anything else, right? Sometimes it's just that they sit next to us and listen. Sometimes it's just if they could hold our hand, not really say anything, but that someone would sit there alongside with you if you feel like this, right? That would be enough, maybe. Maybe we are not ready to share yet. Maybe we are not ready to show the full spectrum of emotions, right? Maybe we are not ready for that, but it would be nice if someone would just offer to sit there, like a mother, not judging, right? Not criticizing and not putting a lot of pressure, being like the other one, right? Being someone who is patiently there, attentive, and is not leaving, is still there, is still watching, patiently guiding, patiently just showing the way forward, but also allowing you to process your emotions, right? That is a motherly quality. And here again, I get back to this, what I said in the very beginning, something about what is work. So if you are someone who is very good at being just attentive, isn't that work? Like, is it not a something that ought to be considered as a brilliance or a quality. Maybe you are very selfless, right? People who are very selfish are usually very good at understanding other people. They are good at giving them space, right? Allowing them to be first. And they are second, right? They sit second, are just allowing this other person to take the room and space and cry and tell their story. But someone who can sit and just hold the fort, you could say, and just be there, isn't that important? Isn't it a quality? Is it not something that should or ought to have more attention? Because we all fall. Like, there will always be times in our lives when we fall, or we lose, or we feel inadequate in some way in life. Shouldn't there be a little more light on or understanding about that this kind of job, for instance, being a mother, attending to a small child, is a big thing. And if she's not there, the world is too frightening, right? It's we need people with motherly skills or patience and like kind guidance and lighting the way, presenting an empathic optimism, maybe, not too much, not too little. If you put in too much, people usually just close down, right? The trust must be there. If you overdo something, they shut down and close off. If you do too little, they may think that you don't care. So it's a very empathic skill to align perfectly with someone who is in distress. It's emotionally distress, mental, emotionally distress here. To align with them so that you're not overstepping. You're not directing them. You're not coercing them. But at the same time, slowly but surely guiding them through something here. So if someone has experiences failure in life, experiencing breakdown, PTSD or things like that, that you have an ability to tune in on that person, to hold some stand here, to let them slowly but surely take a new step forward. Because what sometimes happens is that they take a step forward, but then we want to rush things, or we want to initiate a lot of new stuff. But then the person collapses and they go 3 steps backwards. So how do you attune someone who can attune themselves and keep someone moving here? That is a very special skill, and something that I feel like is very undervalued. Again, people like this usually can be quite selfless. And when they're quite selfless, it means that they don't have a big ego. They don't make a lot of fuss about themselves. They are just this kind friend, They don't take up a lot of room. they are just there somehow, right? Attending kindly and aligned to make this one move forward, right? Knowing that they are still in darkness, knowing that they are not, again, this wouldn't be still a 5 of Cups if they were done and out of this feeling. It's still there, but it's not as impactful as when this is present. This is terrible. This can make a person frozen, where they can't tend to normal things. Here, I think that she is standing, right, and she is moving, but it's slowly. And maybe, like, starting to see that there are things still in her life that can be beautiful. That can be something of value, something that she considers a blessing. But there is something, it's like, again, she's not looking at the moon, right? It's just there. That's what I feel like with this card as well. This one is occupied with the climbing. Like they're climbing the ladder. They're not looking at her. They may not even think she's there. But she is watching, right? She's observing, like the moon here is looking at her. Just slowly and very quietly sending the light here for her to see the few next steps, maybe. Patiently, slowly, no hurry, right? Allowing someone here to process through some emotions. Whatever this is this is a giant healer. I get very motherly energy. It has all the qualities of not rushing. You could say the process is important, but also you could say the result in some way, that she's attentive to the idea that someone is in some kind of movement instead of stillstand or frozenness. Maybe that's why I have this feeling of like this organic movement or organic flowing experience. That it's more important to keep this moving in some way. Even if it's very slow, even if it's not rushing. And self-care can be a process if you have never really attended to yourself and never really prioritized yourself much. Then starting that process can feel very strange. One more card on the 9 of Hearts here. like the nine, it's like this card is, for me, there's a lot of information in this card. We have the horror's eye, right? This is an old Egyptian sign that goes all the way back to Isis and Osiris and their son Horus. Again, it's family. There's something about family stories, but something old, you know, something. A tree can be very old and have roots that are very deep. Deep love and devotion and loyalty. So when we talk about the Nine of Hearts, yeah, self-care can be going to a massage, right? But it can also like go very, very deep. You can go into very deep feelings. Why this loss has affected you so much, right? What is the reason for that? Okay, so I get messenger of earth here. So we have this beautiful young girl. She's an earthy type hybrid. She has atlas here, and I see the like the cycles here, the bubbles. To me, they represent evolution, right? That messenger of earth can be a message, right? A message from a message family, or a family message, a family dogma, a tribe dogma, and it can be old, right? It can be old. Old family stories, old family doctrines, traditions, beliefs. Messengers has to do with everything that is, it's almost like a book, right? That every family has a book. It has a book of evolution, like DNA in our veins, in our cells, in our bodies. But it also has a book of information, like information that comes with you. It could be something like, what religion are you involved in? Is there a family line of very rich people or very poor people, very hard working people? People of the earth could be, you know, people who work with farming or something like that, something earthy, something that with wildlife. So what is your book, right? And that could be something about if we are not, I said organic life, right? Organic diet, maybe growing your own organic vegetable. I don't know, something earthy here. There's something about and it's interesting because Sagittarius is a fire sign, right? It's fire energy. Like she could look a bit like a native person, right? A native. Again, we are all native. We all have We're all descendants of native tribes in some way. So we have had, earlier on, we have had a stronger connection to Earth, I guess. Maybe there's something that needs to be reconnected with nature in some way. These bubbles always tells me, I have another card in one of my decks where there are many bubbles, and it's a card of evolution, that we have an evolutionary set of DNA in us that goes a long way back. I just talked about the Horus Eye from Egyptian times, the pyramids in Egypt. We all have a story. And what has that story included? What kind of life circumstances? So this is possible that, of course, you can examine some of this if you want to do that. Look on my heritage, or things like that, wanting to connect more or know more about the life your family comes from. Maybe there's some kind of knowledge here. Something you may have forgotten, perhaps, right? Something you did as a child and you loved it, right? And doing that again would be something that brings vibrancy into your life, that makes everything more organic, more fulfilling. It says fulfillment, harmony, and protection. When we listen to the earth, or we listen to the vibes of the earth in us, meaning perhaps our body, right? Our body has DNA that comes from way back. Of course, you have your immediate family, the family you know and remember, but there's a way more before that, right? And what kind of circumstances have they been involved in? Maybe you have experienced a loss here, but have others in your family, before you experience loss, is there a pattern of some kind? And even if that loss has been, I think loss and lack has been something that follows all of us, because at some point, that way back in time, all life that eventually became what we know as Homo sapiens have gone through an enormous amount of mutation and change and development and brain increase and so on, and have adapted to all kinds of life, and lived primarily like most other animals did. We were not we were not considered to be a special kind of species, which we probably consider ourselves to be now. We don't do that. So you see, when I have these two pictures here, I have a feeling, and this is a card that I took an extra clarifier for the 9 of Hearts here. And I got this card, so these belong together. So the fulfillment and the harmony and the self-care comes with a connection or a message, some kind of knowledge or book or memories or stories that come from the more earthy realm, maybe the more wild sense of life. And when we look at this too, I think this could be the same woman. But it's just here, I think that she feels way more happy, way more, like this is more comfort zone for her. Like she feels way more aligned with herself here. This looks sterile, right? It looks like it looks cold and sterile, and she's standing here in this white dress, modern contemporary look, right? But it looks like she's unhappy in a world that is too sterile. This organic feeling, I have a feeling of needing to get away from the city, right? Needing to get away from the polluted air, and she needs to get out in the fresh air and smell the countryside life, the farming life, right? Feel the oh, I'm sorry. She needs to feel the forest, right? She has to awaken some of her senses again, right? Like a deer with the atlas, right? She needs to become like the adler, or like the deer in the forest. Or look at her curls here, right? Way more natural, way more. It's more urban, right? She's a modern with her bra and a little top and a nice dress, and her hair is styled, and she has jewelry. This is different. Like she's like an African dancer, right? Or forest or nature, like an Indian urban native Indian tribe princess, something like that. And she looks like a contemporary, mainstream, beautiful young woman, but maybe not something special, right? She's like many others. And the thing about her is that she has been very unhappy. It's almost like she is in the wrong place in some way. And something here is trying to guide her, I think. Gather the blessings that she can find. Feel into it, tune into it, and gather the blessings that she can find. And again, if you need to kind of, like if you feel like you need to leave a sense of a sterile environment, you have to make the steps towards it. Like that is, again, someone could be observing here, right? But as a mother, she knows that you have to make the steps, right? You have to do it. And if you are in a situation where you're saying, yeah, but I can't just move to the other side of the globe and pursue some kind of life. I have duties, or I have children, or I have responsibilities. Yeah, then you have to make the best out of it. Like, you have to gather the blessings you can have in this environment. And know that there's someone still trying to guide you here, not you. Right? And if you want this to change, or if you want out, you could say, or to a different place or different opportunities, you have to become this one. Trust that you can do this, trust that this will be all right. But yes, maybe you will disappoint some people. Maybe you will not be liked in certain circles. But you need to do this to, heal yourself perhaps here, right? To have a more abundant life. Again, maybe she is more abundant. Maybe she is happier. Maybe she feels way more in tune with herself and her body. Maybe she has healed her body. She allows herself to be natural, right? Be who she is. Be what she is. I've said many times before on my channel, I don't think that abundance necessarily has to do with money. Money is probably nice to have, of course, but freedom can sometimes be abundant, right? Maybe the relief of a certain amount of responsibilities can be abundance. Leaving hostile situations can be abundance. Getting out of a war zone could be abundance, right? There are many peace of mind. Again, PTSD, peace of mind. Overcoming depression could be abundance, right? That could be the feeling of a life-changing event. So I think that, and this is also Jupiter, right? That Jupiter wants to present something abundant to us. So we just have to figure out what that is. Exactly. Again, she could be rich, like she could be a well-educated, having a good position. She looks great. Maybe she has a lot of rich, nice friends, But if she doesn't feel happy, it's because something vital is missing, right? Something vital is not there. He looks like a knight, right? We don't really have knights like that, do we? This is like an old thing. Could be old, something old that has been going on in the family. Again, I believe that we can inherit trauma. Through the stories that we are told, through the dogma or the messages that we grow up with, I believe that we can. An example of this is that the Jewish community is still on a regular basis they still have these gatherings where they are telling the story of Holocaust and all the pain and all the terror and all the terrible events that happens, all the people who lost their life, all the family that has been lost. And they have made an attempt to try to repopulate the Jewish community by asking their youngsters, their children, to quickly become married and have a lot of kids. So you can see the children are bearing now the responsibility of repopulating the Jewish community. So even though they have not themselves experienced Holocaust, they are now carrying the weight of all this loss and all this terror and all this pain and all this maybe genocide almost, the feeling of that. When the tree is cut, right? Family tree is cut, it could be the feeling almost that genocide, that a lot of family was lost, and because of that, we now carry the burden of, or we carry the responsibility of repopulating. So you have to get married young and you have to have a lot of children. But maybe that is not what you, like that role and that life is maybe not what you may have hoped for, right? And I think many people carry these responsibilities, that you have to honor some former story that have happened, that you have to honor that by living a certain life or carrying out a certain kind of job, because that has become your role. You were the only and eldest son of the family, the only one sent to school and college and university, and you are now the sole provider for your entire family in India, right? You know, something like that. That you could have. You could be in a position that is so. When I say sterile, I also mean cold, and I also mean that there's nothing nutritious here, right? That there's no nutrition here for you. It's almost like she is in a space where there is no oxygen, and she needs to get out where there is oxygen, right? It's to be understood like that. And someone could be trying to see if they can get out of some kind of family story or responsibility, some situation here, right? Something like that. And you can, I think. Again, the full moon indicates that there's a potential for completion. It just means, will you go there? Will you do it? Will you do it even though you could disappoint your family, or if you would be hated by those you leave behind, or judged, or that they are disappointed in you or something like that? Will you do it anyway? Yeah, okay, this is what I have. I hope this helped somehow. Um, yeah, I hope this helped in some way. I don't think, as I said, I don't think this can be rushed. I don't think you should rush it. I think it is important to figure out when and how and why, and say your goodbyes to those you may end up disappointing or leaving. Um, but I think it has such quality to it that it is so important that you cannot not do it. Like, she has to make this shift in some way. Whatever this is, she has to make this shift. Um, yeah, this is what I have. As I said, I hope this helped. Take care of yourself, everybody out there. Love and light to all of you. Bye bye.